Voltaire, a man who dared to question the unquestionable, his audacious spirit changed the course of human thought forever. Born as François-Marie Arouet in Paris in the 17th century in 1694, he adopted the pseudonym Voltaire. His early life was not without its tribulations. His mother passed away when he was just 7, and his relationship with his father was strained. These hardships forged an unyielding resilience in him, an inquisitive spirit that would later define his philosophical pursuits. Voltaire was an audacious spirit, a revolutionary thinker who dared to question the status quo. His relentless skepticism made him a magnet for controversy, but also a catalyst for change. He dared to challenge societal norms, political systems, and religious doctrines, becoming an advocate for freedom of thought and expression. These were principles we hold dear today, but were radical and dangerous during his time. Every man, he believed, should have the right to speak his mind without fear of retribution, a belief that put him persistently at odds with the powers that be. Despite facing imprisonment and exile, Voltaire never wavered in his convictions. His courage and determination to stand up for what he believed in were truly revolutionary. His audacious spirit marked the beginning of the Enlightenment Period. His impact on this era was profound, his ideas were radical, and his influence was far-reaching. He was a man who dared to challenge the unquestionable, and in doing so, forever changed the course of human thought. We delve into Voltaire's influence during the Enlightenment Period, a time intellectual and philosophical bloom in the 18th century, a time where he earned a reputation as the torchbearer of the Enlightenment. François-Marie Arouet adopted his nom de plume Voltaire in his early 20s, a name that would later become a beacon of Enlightenment thinking. His ideas, laced with wit and satire, were revolutionary, inciting thought and pushing for societal reform. Voltaire's philosophy, a shining light of reason in an era clouded by religious dogma and absolute monarchy, advocating for freedom of speech, religion and thought, long before these rights were formally recognized by many nations. His quote, "I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it," beautifully encapsulates his steadfast belief these principles. His writings, particularly his Gangster Philosopher, were a conduit for Enlightenment ideals to the masses. This work, like many others, was a biting critique of the church and monarchy, questioning their authority and calling for a more rational and fair society. As we delve into Voltaire's significant contributions to history, The Age of Louis XIV stands out as a seminal work in the field of cultural history, shifting focus from wars and monarchs to arts, science and culture. Despite his passing marking the end of an era, his ideas persisted, shaping subsequent historical events. His philosophies influenced the French Revolution, the American Revolution, and the subsequent emergence of democratic societies. Through his works, Voltaire not only an indelible mark on his contemporaries, but also laid the groundwork for future revolutions. His legacy is a testament to the power of ideas and the indomitable spirit of human intellect, encapsulating the heart of the Enlightenment period. Voltaire, a man of many contradictions, held complex views on God, sparking debate and controversy. Known for his quick wit and acerbic satire, this French philosopher was a deist, acknowledging a supreme being as the universe's creator, but not accepting any interference in its affairs from this entity. His perception of God was akin to a clockmaker who sets the world in motion and allows it to function according to natural laws. This belief starkly contrasted with the prevalent Christian outlook of an intervening God, consequently causing a stir. Voltaire's condemnation of organized religion, especially the Catholic Church, which he criticized for its corruption, intolerance and fanaticism, was notably contentious. Yet he never identified as an atheist. He believed one could deduce God's existence from the world's order and beauty, the moral law within us, and nature's inherent splendor. Voltaire's God was not the affectionate, personal God of Christianity. Rather, it was a distant, impersonal entity, disinterested in human affairs. This led to his renowned quote, "If God did not exist, it would be necessary to invent him." Frequently misunderstood, this remark was not a promotion of atheism, but an assertion of Voltaire's conviction that society requires a belief in God for maintaining moral order. His radical perspectives on God challenged both religious and philosophical conventions of his era and are still a subject of vigorous debate. His philosophical insights, his critique of religion, and his idea of God as both creator and observer continue to challenge our thinking. As we continue to grapple with dogmatism and intolerance, Voltaire's voice remains as essential as ever in our global discourse. Voltaire's audacious spirit often landed him in trouble. His sharp tongue and satirical verses were not always well received by those in power, leading to his imprisonment and subsequent exile. In 1717, after composing a series of satirical verses ridiculing the French government, Voltaire was imprisoned in the Bastille for nearly a year. This experience, however, didn't diminish his spirit. Instead, it fueled his passion for freedom of speech and thought. During his time behind bars, Voltaire began writing his play Oedipe, which would later become his first theatrical success. In 1726, after a quarrel with a powerful young nobleman, Voltaire was again threatened with imprisonment. Choosing exile over the Bastille, he took refuge in England. During his 3 years abroad, Voltaire was deeply influenced by England's constitutional monarchy and the country's religious tolerance, starkly contrasting with France's absolute monarchy and religious intolerance. The experience broadened his perspective, deepening his commitment to advocating for civil liberties and religious freedom. The impact of these experiences on Voltaire's later works is significant. His writings increasingly advocated for freedom of thought and expression, and he became a vocal critic of arbitrary power and religious persecution. These experiences, while challenging, played a crucial role in shaping Voltaire's revolutionary thinking. As we delve deeper into Voltaire's life, we realize that his audacious spirit, coupled with his experiences of imprisonment and exile, significantly contributed to his Enlightenment philosophy, which continues to inspire and challenge us today. Although primarily recognized for his sharp wit and revolutionary thoughts, there's much more to Voltaire than meets the eye. A philosopher, writer, critic and satirist, Voltaire's repertoire was indeed comprehensive. But here's something you might not know. He was a fervent horticulturist. Yes, indeed. The mind behind the sharp intellect and critical comments had a gentler side, finding peace in gardening. His estate at Ferney, located in eastern France, bears witness to this love. Voltaire once penned, "I am cultivating my garden." This wasn't merely about physically attending to his plants, but also nurturing his mind, fostering ideas and the growth of the spirit. He viewed nature as a potent entity, beyond its aesthetic charm, but also as a source of inspiration. Alongside his for gardening, Voltaire was also a prolific letter writer. He kept up a vast correspondence with his era's prominent figures, including Catherine the Great of Russia and Frederick the Great of Prussia. These letters offer an enthralling peek into the thoughts of one of Enlightenment's central figures, revealing his perspective on topics from politics, philosophy to literature and life. However, what's most captivating about these letters is how they showcase Voltaire's skill in navigating the perilous currents of royal courts. He mingled with the monarchs on their terms, using his wit and intelligence to charm, sway, and at times even manipulate. So when you think of Voltaire, remember not just the philosopher and the satirist, but also the gardener and the articulate correspondent. Keep in mind the man who found a lure in a garden's simplicity, the man who harnessed the written word's power to interact with his era's most potent figures. This lesser-known side of Voltaire adds another layer to the complex personality of this Enlightenment trailblazer. Voltaire's legacy did not cease upon his passing. It resonates still in the works of contemporary philosophers and thinkers. His theories, once deemed extreme, have since become pivotal in the field of philosophical debate, stimulating and molding intellects through the ages. We journey now through the historical corridors of philosophy and encounter some of the lesser-known intellects who've been profoundly impacted by Voltaire's unyielding spirit. We commence with the esteemed German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer. His philosophy is noted for its pessimistic nature, deeply rooted in Voltaire's skepticism. Schopenhauer embraced Voltaire's spirit of inquiry, interrogating the philosophical norms of his era and broadening the limits of thought. Move on to the Russian novelist and philosopher Fyodor Dostoevsky. Renowned for his deep exploration of human psychology, Dostoevsky was dramatically influenced by Voltaire's emphasis on personal freedom and his critiques of institutionalized religion. This influence is transparent in Dostoevsky's works, where characters wrestle with existential dilemmas, much like Voltaire did in his own life. We then travel to the land of the rising sun, Japan, to meet Tetsuro Watsuji. A philosopher, ethicist, and cultural historian, Watsuji was swayed by Voltaire's humanism. He integrated Voltaire's focus on human dignity and liberty into his own philosophy, which has helped shape the Japanese perception of ethics and morality. Lastly, we introduce the American philosopher John Dewey. A renowned advocate of pragmatism, Dewey was influenced by Voltaire's stress on practical wisdom over theoretical abstraction. This influence is mirrored in Dewey's emphasis on experiential learning and his faith in the potency of education to instigate societal transformation. From the Enlightenment period to the present day, Voltaire's philosophical imprint continues to mold our world. These are merely a handful of examples of Voltaire's extensive influence. His ideas persist in their ability to inspire and provoke, serving as a potent reminder of philosophy's power to question, challenge, and ultimately revolutionize. As we draw the curtains on the life and legacy of Voltaire, we hope you've enjoyed this journey into the heart of Enlightenment philosophy. It's clear that Voltaire's influence has permeated cultures and philosophies around the world, creating a ripple effect that continues to challenge and inspire. His spirit of skepticism, his unflinching commitment to personal freedom, and his relentless critique of institutionalized religion have left an indelible mark on our collective consciousness. His ideas continue to resonate, encouraging us to question, to challenge, and to seek truth in our own lives. His legacy, his wisdom, his courage, they all serve as a beacon, guiding us through the complexities of our world. So as we sign off, we leave you with the words of Voltaire himself: judge a man by his questions rather than his answers. As you navigate your own life, may you carry with you Voltaire's spirit of inquiry, his passion for truth, and his unwavering belief in the power of the human spirit. Thank you for joining us at Philosophical Flicks. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.